Hey everyone, welcome to The Sound Life, a series where I interview local musicians, artists, creatives, anyone that I find interesting really, and just dive deep into their story, get to know them a little better, and really find out what allows them to live their sound lives. Today's episode, I interviewed Nick Holidazed, and we talk about all sorts of things like his experience auditioning for American Idol and The Voice, some of his pet peeves musically, his memory of getting his first guitar and how that impacted the rest of his music career, and a lot of the things that he has going on now, such as the Sun Up Sound Clash and Bazaar, which is an event that has a lineup of original acts, local original acts, and also a way to contribute to a local charity or organization. I've known Nick for a while now, but his band, The Holidazed, performed at Max's lineup where I run sound. And his performance and his professionalism really blew me away. I've seen Nick perform over the years, and the person that was performing in front of me and the person who kept showing up to Max's lineup to perform was a guy that was always striving to improve. And every time he came back, him and his band got better. And to me, that was extremely impressive. It's hard to find people that are really pushing themselves like that. And the shows that Nick puts on are very passionate. They're full of energy. He's really giving it his all when he performs, and you can feel that. And I think that's why he's been a local favorite at Max's. And his involvement with the community and how he's using Sun Up, Sound Clash, and Bazaar to really put a spotlight on local live music, original local live music, and trying to create a community around that. I think that's huge. So I thought it was important to get an interview with him and really see what's going on there and get to know the man behind all of these things. So without further ado, here's my interview with Nick Holidazed. This is basically it, Nick. This is what I've been spending an hour in front of you doing.
Jeez.
To do this, to have this moment right now.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Happy to have you, buddy.
Yeah.
The first question I ask every person that's on the podcast is, what was like your first memorable moment with music? Like, how far back does that go? Was first time music just really, really grabbed you in a meaningful way?
So back in the day, I grew up in a family that liked to go out a lot. So my mom tells everybody that I used to dance every place we went, the restaurants, bars that had, cover bands and solo artists. But the first memorable thing to me that I can remember is probably my Red Hot Chili Peppers concert. He was playing with Snoop Dogg at the Sunset. Actually, I forget what it's called now. I think it's like Vodka something. The place.
Yeah, that changes like every year.
Yeah,
right?
South Florida Fairgrounds. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a more consistent name to call it, the Fairgrounds.
Yeah, so I knew at that point, like, I wanted to play. So, after that, it was all over.
So how young were you when that was going on?
I think it was like 9 or 10 around there. So I'm a late bloomer as far as picking up an instrument.
Okay.
I was, I think, 10 when I started playing drums. I started playing drums in school, the after school program.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
so I was
cool.
a drummer. And I wanted to write songs. That was the whole thing for me. I wanted to write songs, like put a song together, and that was my ambition at the time.
What was your biggest inspiration artist-wise there?
I mean,
when you just wanted to write songs, who was the artist that you looked towards to emulate that?
I think Red Hot Chili Peppers at the time.
That's
yeah,
fair. That's
but
fair.
that was like, yeah. But I mean, grow up as a kid, we went through the phase of listening to pop, like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, emo.
So yeah, being in the band was a cool thing.
Yeah, it was a cool thing, dude. I was a totally different person back then. Like when I formed my first band, it was called Poor Judgment. It was yeah, and it was an emo punk band. We were taking from Taking Back Sunday, I forget, Yellow Card, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we put an album out. We were like 13. It was a bunch of like old school friends of mine. We were in 8th grade. We put an album out. The album was self-titled Poor Judgment. And it was like I don't know, it was like a Backstreet Boy child trying to sing punk rock.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how old were you when this happened?
That was probably around 13. At that time, I was strictly the singer though.
You didn't play guitar?
No, I didn't play guitar. I was just singing. I was doing the whole swing the mic thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
You went pretty hard, huh?
Yeah, that was during my Vans Warped Tour era pretty much. So that was a huge inspiration too. I went to Vans Warped Tour every year. It's sad to see that go, but yeah. I mean, it's just it evolves. It keeps evolving. It keeps changing my personality. Like music changes my personality every year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I started from the pop when I was little, maybe a lot of Jimmy Buffett and Bob Marley because my parents. And then I moved on to the emo phase, the emo punk rock phase, seeing bands like Rancid or Taking Back Sunday. And then, the next step, I guess, was more reggae rock. That was the next step. And that was inspired, of course, by Sublime. Brad Noel was I really liked his lyrical style. I mean, I know there's not a lot to the music itself, but like the metaphors and stuff he put in his music, pretty hardcore stuff. Yeah. He's talking about his addiction, obviously. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a lot.
I know. That's a lot of information. I know.
No, it's good. I mean, these are like, the influences growing up, and it's important to know, where they're coming from and, where their songwriting's coming from. I mean, everyone needs to hear certain songs, and I mean, life is definitely all sorts of things. It's not just like good stuff too,
I know. I try to write happy songs, and they always go into like some deeper, darker meaning. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's hard to write a happy song.
As humans, as long as we're human, we're gonna get all sorts. We're gonna have to deal with unpleasant moments in our lives, and I think it's important to talk about those things too.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's actually, speaking of that, I think the songwriting thing was definitely a way to express what was going on in my life. It just, I think there's that rapper Mims, "Music is my savior." And I hate that he stole that, because I think it's a great line. He goes by Mims, right? But I think it's clever. A great line because, I think it is my savior. You know what I mean? So, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah, man. So now you're having this band like Poor Judgment, you're doing all sorts of craziness. Yeah. So what did I guess getting into high school look like for you? Like, how did music change for you?
So getting into high school, freshman, sophomore year, I actually was in a ska band. I forgot about that. It was called the Resident Underdogs.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's funny because I went to the same high school as this guy Nick Curiazis, and I think he like played bass or something for the project back in the day. But we were jamming around. We had some guys trying to put something together back then. In the high school, like Ray's Downtown Blues Bar in West Palm Beach was a huge ska scene.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I wasn't around for Ray's, original Ray's.
It was sick. I would go there all the time, and that's what kept the influence going. Culture Room and Revolution too. But at the same time, just Ray's was like more of like, there's a stage in the corner of this bar, and everybody is like right there, and there's no fence to keep you away from the band. Yeah, that whole thing. So it was
nice up and close.
Yeah, intimate. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's nice, seeing expression from them instead of like being like, "You're over there, how you doing?" You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love spots like that. Honestly, like it's kind of my favorite places to play, because I feel like you get to really have a conversation with people that way.
Right.
Where like a bigger stage, you're just like kind of going through a routine or a shtick or something.
Yeah,
like,
the set list, bang,
you're
bang,
like, all right,
bang.
okay, we're just gonna do this.
Yeah.
You're just gonna run it and gun it,
Right.
And there's a lot of variables that we don't control too in that moment. Here, it's a lot of the sound in a smaller space, kind of like the spot we're in, right? The Northwood Art and Music Warehouse, where we're fortunate enough to be able to record this podcast interview. Is really cool.
Yeah.
We're literally looking at a stage.
I know. Big ups to Joe from Northwood Art and Music Warehouse for letting us in here too. Right?
That's really cool of him to do that. So definitely a big shout out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're like in front of, beyond the camera is a stage, and it's basically what you described more or less.
Right, right.
It's right there. A lot of the sound in a spot like this is coming from the artists, and not as much, like speakers and things like that. Obviously, there are speakers, but you're getting a lot of their sound and not so much sound that's being reproduced to
Right.
through giant speakers that can kind of warp the original tone
Right.
of our instruments.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know?
it's an echo chamber in here, so you don't need much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's pretty
yeah,
reverberant,
yeah.
as I've learned setting up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's great, man. So, so high school, you're in the ska band. You were going to Ray's downtown blues bar and hanging out. You're not the first musician to bring up Ray's as well.
Really?
So a couple other guys, Bryce Allen brought it up, Brian Smith brought it up.
I saw Box Elder back when Bryce was in that band. He's one of the influences that kept me going in the music
Oh,
thing.
wow. That's so cool, man.
Yeah, we've talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually really cool that, speaking of which, because he was your headliner for the last event that you did.
Oh, yeah.
What was it called again?
Son of Sound Clash. It's like this, well, for you guys, it's Son of Sound Clash and Bazaar. It's this event that I'm putting on. Basically, it's supposed to build community. So we're doing like a charity. We're involving a charity every time. And we're trying to only involve local acts. But as it evolves, I can see it in the future maybe, being multiple stages. Like the next one is Sun Up Sound Clash 2, and it's right here at Northwood Art and Music Warehouse. It's on March 3rd, 2024. It's from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at night. We've got a awesome lineup. We've got the guys from Guavatron on their spin-off band, MYF.
Yeah.
And then we've got Judd Huffman, awesome country rock star.
Nice, man. Those are great guys too. I need to get them on the podcast.
Yeah,
soon.
They're great. Yeah, I love those guys.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that's gonna be a great. That sounds like a fun, great festival, man. It feels like a festival that just like really highlights like actual musicians like working in the area.
Yeah.
And just grinding it out.
Right.
And kind of celebrating that. And we have a lot of cool, quirky, interesting, unique sounding bands in the area.
Right. So much personality around here.
Yeah. And a lot of times the gigs that we do in the area sometimes don't emulate that, right? We got to play a lot of like reggae music, a lot lot of just like
3-hour
touristy pop stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and I mean, how many times have you played, like just like Tennessee Whiskey and all these other songs? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, Wagon Wheel.
Yeah, we can go on a list of songs that we should give it a rest for a while.
Right.
Those two for sure.
It's tough though because there's not a lot of good new music coming out. I mean, Tennessee Whiskey is somewhat new, but like once in a while you get like a hit song. I mean, I think it looks like the move now is everybody's going to country. All the cover bands are country around here. It's crazy.
A little country, a little rock.
Yeah. Nothing. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying, like, it feels like they just overpowered everything else. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, Palm Beach County, we got Waxahachie and stuff.
Yeah, true.
Too, and
true.
We got a lot of rancher folk and people. There's a lot of big equestrian scene in this area too.
Right.
You forget about.
I feel like I was born on an island, and all these, it's just a different era for me. All these, country folk, and then I'm like this beach bum. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's cool. I mean, I feel like in Jupiter, that's definitely way more prevalent. Like the further south you go, the more it's like more reggae and rock and more pop, pop stuff.
Yeah, there's a scene. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you get any like musical training as you were growing up? Did you take any lessons or?
I wish.
You just wung it.
I wish. I've been winging it forever. I go on YouTube and I try to learn different more intricate cover songs. But when you're at a bar, somebody wants a request, and you just pull up ultimate guitar and you wing it sometimes. You know what I mean?
Okay.
If they throw a 20 in the till, that's just the way it goes. You know, it's hard. But at the same time, I've got my solo act is like stuff that I like to do. I don't take requests. When it comes to the band, and we've got like the party raging, and somebody wants to hear a country song I've never heard before, we might do it, we might not do it. It just depends on the situation. Yeah,
I hear you. So what? So when you were growing up and you were just putting yourself into the music, like what did that look like for you? Like how were you seeking music out? Like what did you practice? Like what were you doing at that time
So,
to kind of ingratiate yourself into music more? I know
so
obviously you started bands and whatnot.
yeah, I mean, like if you go from the Resident Underdogs, I just kept flowing into bands, you know. So
Okay.
I
So
changed
your band being in bands was kind of your
my
way of
motivation.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I changed high schools halfway through, my 4 years there.
Yeah.
And then I ended up forming my first reggae rock band with a whole different group of guys. It was called High Street.
Okay.
And that was named because the house that we practiced on was on High Street in Boca Raton.
Okay.
So yeah, that's where we came from, that name. Anyways, so yeah, so that was like I think that was like the before the Holidazed was to come about for me, because that's what turned me on to reggae rock. But it was like a rock emphasis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not like the one drop, like sit in the background. It was more like we're rocking out this reggae. You know what I mean? So yeah, but yeah. So like I said, I kept flowing into bands. High Street, I was in that for 2 years. We played a lot of cool places. We played Revolution. I forget what we played that for. We played at Hard Rock. These were original shows, so it wasn't cover band shows.
Wow.
These were us opening for other bands. I forget off the top of my head who we opened for at Club Revolution, but we opened for somebody big, and then we opened for somebody big at Hard Rock. Back in the day before the whole remodel with the guitar and stuff. Yeah. So, that was seeing a little success too was a huge motivator because I was getting older and I was starting to understand things and how, it's important to get something from work if you put in a lot of work.
Yeah.
Some people put in all this work and don't they don't make the avenue for themselves to make it, give back to you. Okay. You know what I mean? People sit around and write songs all day, but nobody's listening to them because they're not putting them out, for instance. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like if you're, writing music, you might as well put it to paper or put it to recording and just throw it out there because it's also your legacy in a sense,
Wow, that's actually pretty profound. Yeah. It's something I've actually been thinking over a lot in my personal life and like what I'm doing. It's just like, it's kind of a travesty when you don't. I know a lot of musicians that I went to music school with in college, and a lot of them just don't put anything out, and they're some of the best musicians I've ever heard. And it's like no one's ever going to get to hear that.
It's a perfectionist thing, I think, from a lot of people, and nobody can handle the criticism. When I'm like, if somebody's criticizing me, that means they're listening. You know what I mean?
I like you. Someone's talking shit about me. You're like, I must be doing something. I'm on someone's radar.
Right.
They're talking about me.
if I can't get famous, I'll be infamous. Whatever.
But that's a good. I mean, it's a good point to bring up. I mean, if you really want to do this, you really got to give it a shot.
Right.
Writing songs is part of it, but something that I learned very quickly is like it's one thing about just like working on music and playing music for yourself, but then when you start incorporating that and getting paid and trying to make it as a living, it has a whole other layer to it. You need to come to grips with.
You lose sight of your original mission when you start getting paid for cover gigs. I'll tell you that. You get locked in, and it's easy. It's easy. You learn some cover songs. Money. You get some good musicians.
You don't got to practice pretty much anymore.
Yeah. You just say, "Yo, we're doing this song tonight. Learn your part."
Just play the same thing.
Yeah.
There's not too many. The set list doesn't change too much anymore.
No, not at least not.
It doesn't have to.
Not at some venues,
Every now and again, you'll get like a big pop song that comes out of the radio, and then you just gotta you learn that one song, and that's it.
Right, but it's also like the songs do change. They change with the demographic we're expecting.
Well, that's
true. What I mean. So
there is some nuance to the cover stuff for sure, but to your point, like. Yeah, like I don't know. I mean, some people are just happy doing that, and that's okay too, I suppose. That's not what makes me happy.
Right.
And I think that's important. To know what makes you happy in music.
I mean, I'm grateful to be playing music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I'm grateful to be paid to play music, but at the same time, I for the past 10 years of doing it, cover band thing, I've had lost sight. So now we're the Holidazed. Is constantly releasing music. We got a 7-song album coming out,
nice.
Probably in February. I think we're gonna call it Chameleon.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. It's gonna be called Chameleon, and then from there we're planning a little tour. Like it's gonna be obviously if you're playing originals, you're not gonna get paid once again. But that's when what did they call it? The passion. It's a passion project.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna throw it out.
Yeah, I mean, you got to try something. I mean, it's hard to actually make money off of the music nowadays itself.
Right.
So it's got to tie into other things. But part of it being tied into something is like you being someone that also is releasing things regularly.
Yeah.
Like if you're not releasing things regularly, then it's harder for people to latch onto you.
Right.
And if they want more from you, it takes 3 years for you to release something else.
Right.
Then they're gonna move on to some other band. Yeah.
Attention span is gone in this world.
So and you notice this trend now where people are like releasing singles and EPs more than ever because they're easier to reproduce and to get out there.
Right.
You can release one song and throw it out there, and you can do that like once a month.
Right.
That's not unrealistic.
I know. I mean, if you look at King Lizard, the Wizard Gizzard, what you know what band I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Dude, they have so many songs that they've released. I think they released like 70 or 100 songs last year or something like that. Some crazy number, dude. And like, I don't know, I guess it works for them, but like I've listened to them, on shuffle, and in like every song is weird and different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like they're just doing the same shit over and over again.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, they're taking something and do it for each song that they're doing. You know what I mean?
And I think that's an important distinction to make too. I mean, I like hearing something different from an artist personally.
Right.
Like it's like a lot of times, a lot of the iconic, especially like classic rock bands, like they everything has to basically kind of sound the same.
It's a
more
brand.
Or less.
Yeah, it's a brand. Yeah.
So that's the expectation, but I think it's important to have that like differentiation. And if you're going to be releasing things like once a month, I think it's even more important to sound diverse.
Yeah, keep it fresh. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's even easier to make a new song than it is to try to make the same song different.
Right. No, for sure.
Let me get some different sounds and shit going on, and then I'll do that.
I mean,
how am I supposed to replicate this, but also make it seem interesting again?
Right.
That seems like a harder task to do.
Right.
I mean, why am I going to beat that to death?
I mean, I feel that way about some of the old shit that I've released. Like, I just want to pull it off wherever it's at, and then just put my more mature mind to it.
Yeah.
And make it less like high school band style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's already up. It's like you wrote it in concrete. Leave it be.
Yeah. I mean, you did it at that time.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what it needs to be.
Yeah.
And this time you'll do something else.
Right. Something
and that
else.
is going to be that. That is basically that old song.
Right. Right.
Is that.
Right. And the people that you work with like on an album, that's like the huge influence of how the sound changes.
Yeah.
So like every song I do, like I try to work with a different person, like a different mixing engineer, a different producer. However, right now we're working with this guy, Ian, and he's great. He actually played guitar for the Holidazed like 5 or 6 years ago, just like everybody else. We've had probably over 150 different fill-in musicians over the couple decades.
Sure. I've received the call.
Yeah.
I was never able to make it work.
So it's a collective. It's a collective, but it's a lot of fun, But so this guy Ian, he's doing great. Like he's put his ear to this thing. He he doesn't battle on what I want, but he does he just ignores what I say and does this thing. And then it sounds better than what I was thinking. You know what I mean? So I don't mind it, but
it's good to, building a relationship with someone too can be also useful in that sense. Because then you get to know each other and you're like, all right, I can.
Right. But this guy I've known since I was little, dude. So he has that understanding with you. So that's cool. We actually started this album 10 years ago, and then it just sat on a floppy disk for 10 years. So it came full circle and came back to him. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, that's an incredible. I mean, dude, like going through and making an album and writing songs. It's definitely a fun process.
Yeah.
So it's great to hear that you're getting some stuff out there,
sure.
and you're getting out there and you're getting going.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of musicians, to your point, they sit around. I mean, I am a culprit of that too.
Yeah, no.
So even though this podcast has got me excited about writing stuff,
dude,
I'm
stoked about
in Pro Tools more often than I've had in a while. It's cool. It's exciting to have these conversations and to get I don't know, to keep motivating each other and to kind of highlight the spirit of this community.
Absolutely. You know,
Yeah.
and then, you know, like the spirit of the community, building the original side of things once again is what I'm hoping that happens here soon.
Yeah.
Because like we should have a scene like not
We
so
came close before the pandemic,
we
man.
were close.
Things were thriving in downtown
I
West
know
Palm,
they
and
were.
all sorts of cool music going
Yeah,
on.
I remember that. I know. Now we need to like rebuild that as fast as we can, because it's either going to be
get taken
here
over by stuff
or it's going to be
quickly, yeah.
taken over. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like a vulnerable space right now. You know, people
Right.
are doing all sorts of stuff. Like you never know. Buildings and businesses have come and gone very quickly in a short amount of time.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah. So it's tricky.
Yeah.
So let's get into some other stuff here. Let's see. What has been okay, so in high school you're doing the ska band thing, and now you're kind of writing more songs with other people.
Mm-hmm.
What did like post high school look like for you? What did that start to turn into? How did music start to change for you, if it did, or what did life look like at that time?
So post high school, I changed locations. I was in Jacksonville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went to school up there, and then I wasn't the freshman year of college. I was just laying low, trying to figure out how to like live on my own up there, and like figure everything out just in life in general. I was still playing acoustic guitar. There's a couple guys that we jammed with, that I jammed with in the dorm rooms and stuff. Actually, one that's doing awesome stuff right now. His name is Michael Forgetti. He's up in Boston. He is a rising reggae rock guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sure. And it's crazy to think that we're playing, back in the day, and he's on his back home in his hometown doing his own thing, like making it happen. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that's impressive.
Yeah. So there's jamming the freshman year. I always had a guitar in my room, and it was just like, focus on school for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because, changing from high school to college was definitely a lot harder. You know? Yeah. So, but then sophomore year came around, and I moved down to Jacksonville Beaches. So I was in the heart of Jacksonville where I was going to school. I transitioned to Jacksonville Beaches. And that's where the music thing came back, like, poof, you know what I mean? Because down at the beaches, it's like, it's a lot of partying.
It is. I went to school in Jacksonville for a little while.
Oh, which
school? 2008, University of North Florida.
Oh, yeah. I went to Jacksonville University right next door.
Yeah. But the Jacks Beach and Neptune Beach and all that stuff.
Yeah. You know that, dude. Yeah. That's where it all went down now. But so there's this place called Freebird. And Jackrabbits was.
Yeah, Jackrabbits is dope too.
1904 Music Hall.
Yeah. There's a bunch of awesome little venues in Jacksonville.
There's a few more that I can't think of, but so there's a reggae bar called Jam Rock across the street from Freebird, right? Mm-hmm. And I started going in there to party, but they would always have bands every night. So I was like, dude, I got to get something going on. Yeah. So me and my buddies, this guy Nate, who's now in this band called the Honeyhounds, which they're phenomenal. They're doing something crazy right now too, dude. They're like coming up too. And so me, my buddy Nate, my other buddy Nate, and then my buddy Jake, they're all still doing music on their own. It's like everybody's still doing what they love. But we came up with the band. We made the band the Holidazed. We were all the motto back then was every day is what is it? Every day is a holiday. Every meal is a banquet. Yeah, it's from some mafia movie we saw. Okay. That's cool. Yeah, so we came up with that name, and then we released our first album. It's called Anything. It's an EP. It's still on Spotify. I think the best song on it was the song Melodrama. But there's a few. I mean, the whole production was generally good because this guy who produced it was Daryl Finnegar, and he did Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. He did. Oh, really? He did that song. If you feel like a man, yeah. So that song. So we got in with him, and it was really an eye-opening thing, and it made me feel like the real deal at Holyfield. You know what I mean? So from then we started playing around. We did the cover band gigs. We opened up for bands like Pacifier at Freebird. Yeah. We opened up for Authority Zero, Afro Man. We opened up for a lot of bands that came through Freebird. We were in with the owner. And then also at Jackrabbits, I forget, but there was a few bands we opened up for over there for the smaller touring bands. But at the time, it was just a fast life. It was like, party all night. and wake up, try to make it to school, and then practice. We did practice back then, and then do a show and party all night. So yeah.
Yeah, that sounds very familiar.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's an easy life to fall into as a musician, I think.
Or as a Floridian at this point.
True. Yeah. So what were you going to school for at the time?
I was going to school for political science.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wanted to be an attorney. So I got done with school and just chose music over it.
Yeah, you just decided to just go full music after you were done with school.
Yeah, I was just done with it. Everybody's fighting for jobs at the time. I think the job market has been wasn't doing well. And I remember, all my friends were bartenders and stuff. I was making money doing music. So I was like, I'm going to ride this until the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
Problem is the wheels never fell off. So,
just kept doing more gigs.
Just kept doing more gigs. I never got into a professional aspect of life, and but I learned a lot, playing in a band is not like all rock and roll and partying.
Yeah.
There's a huge business side to it.
Yeah.
There's trademarking, there's legal things you have to do for everything. Like you have to learn how to write contracts to book bigger shows. Some places require insurance. Like you learn some life skills doing music if you're doing it hard every day.
Yeah.
People skills too, knowing how to deal with the drunk guy or the disgruntled owner or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people skill, like psychology. You learn a lot just in general. It's a full thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. It's a very multifaceted thing to have a band be successful. There's a lot of moving components involved in that. It's not just play shows and get paid.
Right.
And even that can be difficult.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, the whole thing that took the whole industry by storm was social media, right?
Yeah.
I'm not the best at that,
Yeah.
If you're good at social media right now, you know how to plug it, you know how to do all the
make some quick, appealing content.
Yeah, a quick, appealing content that reaches viewers. Because the problem is, the hardest part is just reaching people through their algorithms and all that. I don't know much about it, but at this point, it feels like I'm going to have to hire somebody to do that. You know what I mean?
To help make that happen.
Yeah.
Help
because
make content from
you're
it.
thinking like this. There's 7 billion people in the world. You wrote one song. How many of those people out of those 7 billion, if they all listen to it, are going to like it? You know what I mean? Could be 50,000 people, but that is a big number.
Yeah. And how many of those people are also people releasing songs?
Exactly.
That are also trying to get enough ears on it.
I know. But, like I said, the attention span of the public is like that. So your song is their favorite song one day. 3 days later, it's another one. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's something I try to tell musicians a lot is it's like, if you get someone's ear, you just got to hold on to it.
Right.
And we were just talking about earlier in this conversation was kind of highlights this moment too, where, it's about consistency and delivering music. I mean, dude, the best artists are always releasing something.
Right. Whether it's
or you're hearing about
pictures,
them,
videos,
even if they're not
anything.
releasing music, you're hearing about them or whatever.
Right.
And Taylor Swift. We all know when Taylor Swift's coming into town.
Now I feel like she's at every football game now. I don't even know what's going on.
So it's important to have that even for people because you never know who is your fan.
Right.
And you make it easy for them to reach you.
Right.
Have all your social media working. Make sure your website works.
Right.
You know how many times someone's website doesn't actually work.
Right.
You lost me right there.
Right.
And no respect for you.
Make sure you don't have a picture from 1988, like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Make sure your stuff's updated.
Yeah.
You're not showing old material. And sometimes I'm at where's my last Jazz Trio video? Someone asked me and wants to book me for a Jazz Trio. Like, what video do I show them? I got a 6-year-old video now. I'm fuck, bro.
I booked you right away. I was like, I know you're good, dude.
Yeah,
I don't even
I got a good reputation, but people that don't know me so well,
Right.
videos and things like that are important. And that's also just all the extra content. You can just use that and throw it on social media while you're building your own little mini portfolio where people can kind of see your work and see what you're doing.
Right.
But yeah, man, that's great. So you chose the music life over the legal life.
Professional, yeah. Dude, I was really, I've always read the dystopia sort of books, what's it called? Fahrenheit, that book, 1984, stuff like that. So I was seeing, and I was thinking at the time, I was like, some professions, you get locked into a cubicle or something like that. I don't know if I can handle that life. You get locked into an office like that. Like that's for some people, I'm sure, and it's good money, I'm sure. But like me, I need to be like out there exploring, seeing the world, like the other side of the world, because some people, go straight from college into a professional job, have a family, which is nice. It's a good route.
Yeah.
It's a good route, But then some people like want to see like what's going on out there, like what's behind the curtain, you know what I mean? Like what's happening, like, in the darkest of the night, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just, that was, I was looking to see what I wanted to understand the world and see the good and the bad. That way I knew how to take it,
Yeah.
If you don't see both sides, when you're having a perfect life, everything's in line, everything's ordered, and then something hits you like a semi truck, you're like, you panic and you aren't sure. A lot of people, I would say, like if you never had anything bad happen to you in your life, there's going to be a reality check eventually.
It's going to hit harder when something rough does happen.
Exactly. Learning how to be able to rebound and make a comeback is key to life, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, but the introspection is really important. Like, like a lot of times people go through really bad negative experiences and don't handle it. Like, I mean, if you're a kid, it's one thing. You handle it the way you have to.
Right.
And then that you have, as an adult, you might have to unpack that later in life and deal with that.
Yeah. One way or the other. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a psychology podcast, but I am an enthusiast. But
yeah.
But yeah, so it is important, but it's also important to have experiences and to be able to get through these moments and if things don't go well, it's okay too.
Right.
And knowing that in the long run, like life will go on.
Right. That's the way I live.
Yeah. So what's been like the most difficult experience that you've had to deal with in your career as a musician and just being able to do it? Is there any specifically challenging moments that come to mind that you may have learned to gain some tremendous insight from?
I mean, shows that are outside when it rains.
In Florida, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm dealing with this weekend. But I don't know, difficult moments in like playing, all the time. I think that you will, if you play constantly and you're playing late night, like it was later gigs before coronavirus, right?
Yeah.
It seems like everybody's toned it down to like 10, 11,
Yeah.
But it was like 1 a.m. going on.
These petri dish.
Yeah. So after that,
crowd.
that sort of thing will influence you and direct you a little bit. You know, hanging out with people like that all the time. It doesn't matter if you're there to work. You get off stage, you get done playing. What do you want to do? You want to hang out, enjoy what's going on, just like the other people that have been there all night.
Yeah.
Like going raging in your face, you know what I mean? So that's the only thing I would say to watch out for is like, now I play my gigs and I pack up and I go home. I go home, I eat food, I listen, I play video games, a little bit of video game here and there.
I'm a big video game guy.
But like
Just got PS5 recently.
Nice, dude.
Try not to touch it.
Dude, if it's
like, I gotta edit these podcasts, man. People are,
I know.
Nick's gonna want this in 2 months from now. He's gonna expect it.
Seriously, I was thinking about getting rid of my Xbox the other day because, like, dude, it's like I got so much I need to get done, but this thing's like sitting here, like I feel like it's like drawing me in. You know what I mean?
Calling your name.
Yeah,
Nick,
it's calling my name.
Me, Nick.
Yeah, you're good at this game. Play this game.
What's your favorite game? What's the game that? It's most dangerous for you to play. So you're like, dude, if I play this game, it's, I don't know, a whole day might go by.
Dude, I'm a real nerd. So honestly, like since I was young, I've been playing games. So like all started with StarCraft.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
oh, you're an RTS guy.
Yeah. So I do RTS.
I'm an RPG guy. So
well, now I do. I've been playing Starfield.
Oh, I heard that's really good, actually.
Pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
And then if I want something action-packed, I'll play, like, Call of Duty.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's what I bounce between, you know what I mean? I like the RPG thing. It's like living in another life in another world, you know?
Yeah. No, it's definitely my favorite thing. I grew up playing video games, and it's something that kind of means a lot to me now that I think about it. Like, it's been a comfort for me. It's been like a form of escape, healthy or unhealthy.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of this thing that I look forward to now in my life every now and again. It's
right.
I tried to do like the hyper adult thing, but oh man, I can't play video games anymore.
I
and
know.
like I'll take a break.
I know.
But every now and then, do something. entertainment is here for a reason.
Right.
You know, and that's something that I
But
think
you can pick your form of entertainment. Some people like to go drink at the bars. Some people like to play video games.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, you know,
I mean,
some people like to surf. You know, it's
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, the partying thing that never really worked out too well for me, unfortunately. So I just like,
yeah.
It was not for me. It didn't work out for me. Like, you know, I definitely picked up some really unhealthy habits doing that, and
a
lot of rebuilding from that.
Yeah.
And you know, Bryce Allen on his interview talked about how, you know, precarious that late night life can be.
Yeah.
And, you know, really was kind of warning, you know, the listeners about that.
Yeah.
And people that might be aspiring musicians. So,
right.
Yeah. So
I mean,
I think people underrate that a lot, to your point. Like,
right. I mean, just to give you some, you know, fact to stand on, I haven't had a drink in 2 years and 7 months.
Nice, man. Congrats.
So it's like a huge thing in my life, you know, but at the same time, it builds character. You know, whether you want that character side of you or not, it builds a little character, and then you're pretty resilient living a lifestyle like that. So
yeah, man,
Yeah.
that's congratulations.
Yeah,
So
thank
that's
you.
a good long chunky amount of time.
Yeah.
I'm a year, like 8 months or something like that
Nice,
now myself, and no drinking.
See,
So
everybody's on the page right now.
Brian Smith doesn't drink.
Yeah.
He hasn't drinking more than he's like close to 3 years now.
So
I think.
this all ties back into don't fall into, you know, this.
Bryce Allen doesn't really drink. I think he might have I think he drinks very moderately, but he drinks very minimally.
Right.
Basically, he was saying on his interview too.
Right. That all ties back into like the musical thing, that the worst thing that, you know, don't get sucked into, you know, the lifestyle that is not a lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like the late nights and stuff like that. As long as you're going there, you're doing your work, you're enjoying your music, and people are enjoying what you're doing, then, you know, call it quits after. Maybe say hi to a few people that are really nice, tipped you. You know, be a little sociable. Don't be antisocial like I am.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But, yeah.
Schmoozing, there's something to be said about schmoozing a little bit.
Yeah. Schmooze them over.
You don't want to just be this stiff dude.
No.
You know, I mean, look, like if being sober and staying sober is an important thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to do that for yourself in the beginning. But once you get comfortable, not drinking anymore and high drinking scenarios,
right,
it becomes easier to just be like hang out and talk to people and then move on with your life, you know?
Right. But I sort of found a trick to not having to talk. Like, I mean, after a show, dude, 3-hour, 4-hour show, like I'm a little
tired,
spent, dude.
Yeah.
So I just all the guys.
You're pretty energetic too.
I know.
You're really giving it too.
Yeah,
like vocally and stuff. Like, so I
Yeah.
can imagine you being kind of done after.
Dude, I'm done. Like, if you catch me
before the end of the night, man.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know, you got a day gig too. You know,
I know.
You work all.
Yeah, I'm a real estate agent. You know, it's sort of now it's a thing. Like real estate agents are musicians now. Like
a lot of musicians have gone real estate route.
Yeah,
and actually, I know a lot of great musicians that are also great real estate agents.
Yeah,
and do really well for themselves doing that. And then, you know, now they have nice gear. You got a nice house.
That's what it is, dude. I mean,
and now they can just like happily fund their projects. And,
it pays for the passion, right?
Yeah,
right.
You know, and the older I get, the less fault I see in that. There's some part of me as a kid growing up, where like it's like an angsty, like late teen, like early 20-year-old like musician, where we were just freaking chumming it, dude. Like like we're just in it.
Yeah,
100%. And it's like, oh man, I can't imagine doing that. But now I'm like, actually, you know, health insurance is actually pretty sweet, dude. Like,
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Having a little bit of a savings account and actually being able to invest in stuff, and like, you know, something like the pandemic, I think taught us all how quickly
it can go away.
Yeah. Like 24 hours, I had zero income.
I had zero, same. No gigs, nothing was going on.
No lessons.
Yeah.
Everything centered around me going places to do things.
And then they handed us a $1,200 check. Like,
I was like, oh, this
what in the world?
It's close, but I'd rather have my old life back.
Right,
you know?
right.
So I think, I think that's another reason why the social media and the consistency on the online front is so important, because it makes it so that you're not completely lost.
Yeah.
If something doesn't work out, and having contingencies is important.
That you can just do from your house.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. You can play guitar and sing in your house if you wanted to, and if you wanted to do a live stream.
Yeah.
If you knew you had enough followers that like bought a CD from you online and it like made enough of a living, then like sitting in your living room playing to a live stream could be a way more reasonable thing to do, because you know the people that you're gonna have enough people that are going to show up that might pay you money to do that, or support you some other way, or buy more merchandise that you have online that can be easily sold and grabbed. You know,
if you have 100 diehard fans, they'll buy every piece of merch you have at least once. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
100 diehard fans, you'll sell 100 shirts no matter what. If you put out a new shirt, they'll buy that new shirt. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that pays for itself. After those 100 fans, that'll pay for the batch that you just brought. And then all the stuff that you sell on top of that, that just, goes back to the project. You can fund your recording studio time, all that, so.
Yeah, man. Like the first goal I feel like with music is always like making sure like you're kind of breaking even in your overall investment, but kind of getting our head out of the clouds first and realizing like, oh, the money that's coming in is also money that's going out.
Yeah.
And knowing how that is being distributed in our lives is a very important
unless
adult thing to do.
Unless
and it helps be when you want to be self-employed.
Right.
It's very important to look under the hood and see where the money's going. Like you kind of need to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, taxes.
You actually pay taxes if you want to do it for real.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing too.
Yeah.
So what's been like at this time period? Like, was there any other big influences in your life, like that really motivated you? Were there any artists that you were listening to that you started gravitating towards? Because I know you said like your genre changed over the years too, like the things that you were into. So at this point, like obviously you started the Holidazed.
Yeah.
Like, was there any music around that time period that really just like that you really gravitated towards to influence the Holidazed?
Dude, I think Pacifier was a huge influence during the Jacksonville Beach time.
Oh yeah, they would go through a lot.
Dude, they would go there all the time, and that was the reason they were, because I could see them all the time. That was one of the reasons they were a major influence. But if you like look at their, they all have backgrounds that like went to school for. I think they went to SCAD. In Georgia, yeah.
I thought they were from that area, like the Clarineters or Georgia. But
yeah.
I wasn't sure.
So they all have backgrounds in music, and then dude, their stuff is so intricate and different than other stuff, you know. And I don't know why they're grouped into the reggae rock scene. I think because the reggae rock scene is like one of the last standing indie scenes where you can be an indie band and make it. Like, I don't see Vans Warped Tour's gone. Like, punk rock scene seems to be dying. Like, reggae
punk
rock,
tough, man.
Yeah, reggae rock. There's like bands that call themselves reggae rock, and they are not reggae rock. You know what I mean? Like, dude, like we call ourselves reggae rock just because that we were reggae rock, and now it's all like in stone, sort of thing. But like honestly, if I was to like rebrand and rename, I would say like some sort of like progressive reggae rock, like a little different. We throw in the one drop here and there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I like the fucking song to drive, dude. You know what I mean? Like on the originals,
Yeah, your stuff has a lot more energy, almost lightness to it too.
Yeah.
Like it's not like driving and heavy, but it's driving and light.
Yeah.
And the band's moving for sure. You gotta definitely have some solid musicians too. In
dude,
your band
Andrew, the sax man, we got to mention him, dude. Andrew Mayo, best sax man I've ever,
Yeah, he's great, bro. Like, yeah, man. The dude stays fit. That's for sure too.
Yeah.
He's definitely an example of like how to take care of yourself as you get older and stuff like that.
His thing is music, healthy lifestyle. That's it. That's what drives him.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Super nice guy, man.
Yeah.
He's always like willing to he still messages me. Me and him message each other back and forth about saxophone stuff.
Yeah, you guys went to some sort of jazz concert.
Oh yeah. We go to shows together too every now and again.
Cool.
We listen to this one guy, Chad LB, play saxophone. Is insane, and he's actually been to a couple of my shows and listened to me play saxophone, so that's cool. He's a true patriot for music too. Like you can tell, he really loves music and cares about it. It's important to him.
Yeah.
Show me old pictures from the '80s and stuff. Dude. Like he's been in the scene for a minute,
dude,
in Miami, dude. He's seen it all. Dude.
Yeah, he has. He's seen it all.
Yeah, he's definitely probably worth getting him on the podcast for sure. I'm sure he's got all sorts of awesome stories.
Dude, you should definitely. That's why I wanted to bring him with me.
Oh yeah.
So I wouldn't have to talk the whole time.
Yeah, everyone gets their own episode. That's how this works,
cool,
Cool. Yeah, man, you're definitely just. I mean, he's in your band, so
I know.
So I gotta talk about the guy whose band it is, too, and also, you're also doing a lot of cool things in the music scene. I mean, putting up these events I know they're no easy feat, and they're extremely difficult to pull off. A lot of work. It's a lot of work that's probably not going to be like gratifying work at the end of the day.
Right.
But I mean, I appreciate it. I'll let you know that firsthand.
Yeah.
That I think it's important what you're doing. I think even Bryce Allen said it at the end of at that headlining set. Bryce Allen, what a guy, dude.
He
said some incredible words, man.
Yeah.
And he supported you, and he didn't have to. You know what I mean? Like he's got a great name. But he did that because he sees the value in what you're putting out there.
I know, and you know the some of the bands that are coming through are helping out with it too. But it's gonna the concept of the whole thing is basically I'm stealing it from Vans Warped Tour. I want it to be it's always going to be a traveling concert series.
Yeah,
it's not going to stay in the same place.
Yeah,
and we're going to go from the local scene to bigger circles until the whole state of Florida. And that's how I want to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And eventually, like I said, it will be 2 to 3 days, maybe just one day actually, and have 4 stages. Who knows? Just like Vans Warped Tour, because that was a huge American culture thing. Something like that needs to come back.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things from MTV that I miss that they don't do anymore. I think music videos too.
It's gone, dude.
Dude, people make music videos now, but rarely do people talk about dude. I remember watching Ripe's music videos and being like, "Whoa, what did I just watch?
Right.
This is incredible!"
Right.
And then having conversations with my friends about it and stuff like that.
Visual art. It was visual art back then, and now it's
it's another art form.
Yeah. Now it's not on mainstream, and you wonder why would you watch TV anymore?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's you got everything in the palm of your hand on your phone.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I'm doing this podcast right now. It's just because I want to play with a video camera, and obviously a podcast is more obviously audio related, but having a video element, the way social media works now, where videos definitely get a lot more traction than not videos.
Right.
So having that element there and really creating a deeper story visually about everything that's going on too, I think is kind of where my headspace is at these days.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about some of the darker stuff in music. What has been one of the most important memories or experiences that you've had with music, whether it's a performance or even just a moment in time with you and your instrument or music on a more recent level that really solidified you doing this for the foreseeable future?
Dude, I'm really lucky. I've had so many experiences like that.
Yeah.
And I'm really blessed with that. I have so many instances where I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. If I just was doing it right back then, it would be, a different story as I am doing it right now.
Yeah.
But so there's been so many times. I think just my dad buying me my first guitar maybe was the point where I knew I was going to do music.
How long ago was that?
Dude, I was fucking 14, 15.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was an Ibanez. He bought me a red Ibanez. I forget the brand. I still have it. And then he bought me a half stack Peavey because it was some sort of good grade thing, birthday thing. I don't know what it was, but we didn't get a lot of big presents like that. But I told him that I was into this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he got me all that. I should have started with an acoustic guitar instead of an electric guitar. But then
why do you say that?
I just think acoustic. You get your chops. And it's easier to songwrite too. You don't have to plug into something.
It's convenient.
And it's convenient. Yeah. It's you can
There's something to be said about that, especially when you're working on ideas.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if it's acoustic electric, you can do both. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they got pedals now that make them sound just like an electric guitar. It's all over.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
I've seen some stuff, and I've running sound. I've heard some people. I'm like, oh wow, that's really
good. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, so my dad gave me my guitar. I still have the guitar. I finally sold the PV half stack because there's just no room anymore for that. Something like that.
Half stack.
Yeah. The thing is old, dude. Too. It was sitting in the warehouse for a while, but yeah. So that was definitely, I think, the turning point. And that. Like I said, I'm blessed with a lot of instances that kept me going when I was, let's say, down.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you just want to quit because you can't afford things because you're doing music. You know what I mean? So coming from, it's not like I had money the whole time.
Yeah.
I was getting by for a long time. And, now, I'm comfortable, but at the same time, that's not because of music. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not like people shouldn't quit their day job to do a cover band job or, unless you have some sort of signed deal from some major company, or you got a not even just a plan in general. Okay, so I'm gonna do this album. We're gonna go on tour for this month, and then we're gonna go on tour another month. I'm gonna have a social creator putting 4 posts out every day on all the media. I'm going to have a music video here. Like, it takes a lot of planning, and you got to do that for 5 years straight, like, and to get that traction. You know, a lot of people, like, let's say, for example, who I think is an industry plug, that guy who did the Rich Man in Virginia. He's a country guy. He's just overnight famous country singer. Like, yes, the song had a lot of value, but I know people around here that write better songs than that.
Well, I think that was the whole thing that set it off too. Was just like people were just like bashing that song.
Yeah, I love the rebellion fact of it, and I love that he got where he is now. Like, I'm not knocking him, but like that was like a lotto ticket for him. Like, he's not about the money, I've heard, but at the same time, you don't get lucky like that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of times people might do controversial things or write things like that, or like, I don't know, like, something is a hot button topic, so it's easy to write around that and to deliver it, because we know it's trending, I guess.
I know.
And it's moving. So, but yeah, I mean, what you do with that, I think, is important. Like, a lot of people that do like American Idol and like The Voice and stuff like that.
Dude, I tried that. I tried those both.
Oh, you did?
Okay, so The Voice. Let me tell you about The Voice. Okay. So I fly to Georgia, right? I go to this. I get in at Georgia. I go to this huge skyrise building. Yeah. There's a line out the front door, right? Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, that's a pretty big line. Then you get in the building. There's lines zigzagging like you're going into a Disney ride. That's the first floor. Second floor, Disney ride. Third floor, Disney ride. Fourth floor, there must be 100,000 people there at the The Voice, the Georgia thing. And I was like, oh my God, why am I here? There's no way out of 100,000 people I'm gonna make it to the top 100, dude. You know what I mean? Like, these are probably professionally trained singers, people like being sneaky, but they were trained their whole life. Like, I just learned how to sing. You know,
find ways to game the show,
right?
Like, there's like people with like little subgroups where like they're all sharing information with each other to increase the likelihood of being on the show.
Of course, there's always conspiracy.
It goes pretty deep, man. Like, it's crazy, and it's a lot of stuff to do. Like, dude, I mean, imagine being a part of a production team where you have to like filter through like hundreds of thousands of people for a TV show. Like, dude, how stressful.
And I'm sure there's a guy who's just like, okay, that like can like, he probably is like a major in some sort of psychology or something, but he can just look at people and say no, like, without hearing them. You know what I mean?
Like, no.
No.
Was that what it was like? There's just a dude that's just looking at people?
No, we all got our shot at doing a acapella song. You weren't allowed to play an instrument back then.
Really?
You had to do it. And I brought my guitar, had it on my back, and they're like, you can't use that. I was like, oh, I'm screwed. Like, I don't know how to sing and not play guitar, bro.
They're both go hand in hand.
Yeah, it's, for me, it's like it keeps the rhythm of the vocals. It keeps my timing, and all of a sudden I knew it was over with. And then like, plus there was like this 12-year-old girl who went up ahead of me. That was just like, dude, this chick should be famous. Little girl should be famous, dude.
That should have a full career.
I know.
Retire by the time she
Justin
turns 18.
Bieber's sister or something. Yeah, seriously.
That's brutal, dude.
I know. So I'll tell you what. That's one of those things that I suggest you don't do. The Voice and American Idol, because first off, that's profit. That's some sort of profiting off a music company. Like, it's just like a Spotify. You know what I mean? Spotify gives you shillings for whatever you.
Yeah. You don't make any money. That's why I'm saying, like, it's hard to make money off the music itself.
Right. So they groom you if you make it onto The Voice and American Idol, and then they give you a 360 deal at the end of all. They own all the rights to all the stuff you do, and they pretty much own you. Yes, you get the the fame and a little bit of fortune and clout.
You may get to travel.
But dude, a lot of those people fall off. Like, I think the only one I can think of that's still around is Katy Perry. You know what I mean? And she's one of the judges on the show. So they really own her, dude.
I didn't think about that.
She went from singing to working for them. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, like, things like that are just, I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't like that music can be represented that way on a popular level.
Yeah.
And like, because it's like, dude, that's not really
telling people that you're good and you're bad in music is horrible. You know, everybody gets a chance, and there's always time to practice and evolve.
Man, and there's like creating a competitive nature around music.
Right.
I feel like it's like, I don't know, it just doesn't rub with me.
I know, and I've experienced, you know, groups that are very competitive even on our scene, and it's just crazy. Like I don't care what you do what you want, man. I'm doing my own thing over here, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, people. I don't know if it's a jealousy or envy thing for no reason, or if it's just like people need to, you know, go see a shrink or whatever. But it's a lot of people, you know, that hold grudges and that, you know, never give you the light of day or the chance. And I've encountered that, but it doesn't matter. It rolls off, and I roll with the punches, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the throes of music, too. You know, you run into all sorts of characters that are running all of these things, you know? I mean, like, I feel like music is definitely a volatile industry.
Yeah.
And, like, when you grow up with it, you don't think like it is, but when you start experiencing like normal life and like things outside of that realm, you're like, oh wow, this is just an anomaly of stuff. Like, this is like just no structure to a lot of it. A lot of people are like winging it here, making music happen and creating music programs and, you know, having music at their bar or whatever. And, you know, it's all kind of just happening on its own.
You know, having music at the bar, I just want to touch on this. Dude, there's like some sort of thing that BMI and ASCAP are doing. Like you have to buy a license to play music at bars. And like there was like something I saw that they put agents in the crowd, and if the cover band plays some like cover, they can like I guess fine you for it. It's just like this new thing with this ruling from BMI and ASCAP. I don't know if it's good, I guess, but if you're a famous rock star and you're trying to, you know, sue the little guy for playing your cover song, it hasn't happened down here. But I know that Surfer Bar in Jacksonville encountered that. And they came in and they didn't even let him play the jukebox because Surfer Bar refused to pay the fine that they had put on one of the bands. Because the band doesn't get sued. The venue gets sued.
Yeah. Because they're the one that has to pay for the license to play music and covers and stuff like that.
Right.
And have a live band that play covers.
Right. But let's not talk about that anymore because we don't want it happening down here.
Let's not air that out.
Yeah, let's not air that
out. There was one time that someone told me that it happened at like Thirsty Turtle one time or something. But like, yeah, man, I mean, you know, but part of, you know, that's another thing. It's just like part of like a venue's responsibility is to have those things in place, and they kind of take those things seriously, which to me is always leads to additional frustration as part of having music as a career, is dealing with people that don't really fully understand the scope, or this isn't really their actual job. They're just doing it to help out or whatever, and not getting someone that really knows the details of how things are supposed to work. So. I see that happen all the time in venues. Just people just are out of their depth with, like, you know, there's a mixer someone set up ages ago. No one even knows who set it up. Like there's like,
been there?
They're just like, there's lots of like, dude, I've traveled all up and down the country and stuff, and there's always a spot where like, there's just stuff there. Yeah. And they're like, does anyone know how to work it that works there? They're like, no. There's a guy that sometimes shows up, but. Yeah. You know, good luck with sometimes the sound engineer is not great. You know, that's like I get that a lot.
You know, the key thing is always be nice to the sound engineer or the mixing people in general, because, you know, they make it night or day for you if you're going to have a good show.
Yeah, they're also the ones that they're the point person for anyone that's booking bands if it's not them. Like they're going to ask the sound engineer, oh, how's this band? Right. You know, and maybe some of the staff that work there too that night, the bar staff.
Yeah, so if you're rude to them, you're going to have a problem, you know? So that's my tip, actually.
Yeah, no, that's actually a good little, you know, that's a good
tidbit.
Thing. A tidbit. Yeah. There we go. We just mentioned that. Yeah. Nick's telling me I need to come up with a catchphrase. So
yeah, tidbit.
And I told him I keep saying tidbit every now and again. So maybe I just start saying there's a tidbit. Man. Yeah. What's the good? That was a good tidbit. Yeah. Thank you for that one. Let's see here. What else do I got for you? Okay, we kind of got some good stuff going. Oh yeah. What's like a big musical pet peeve of yours? Like something that just like bothers you, like in general, like whether it's like maybe you're doing a show and if this thing happens, it's just like really annoying, or just like a pet peeve with like, I don't know. Like one of my pet peeves is like I don't like standing on microphone cables or cables underneath my feet. It's like really annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah, I deal with it sometimes, but I don't like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just something that like really grinds your gears about like maybe doing music as a career.
Ah, man.
We talked about a couple of different things, but then it was just is
Yeah.
like a soapbox moment for you. So if you really want to,
I mean, dude, there's so many things that can go wrong, and all the aspects of the music thing playing out, like breaking a string, huge pet peeve. But I learned to always have fresh strings on for every show.
Yeah.
So there goes another, $7 every show as an expense. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's true.
So, that used to be a huge pet peeve because I tried to make the strings last, but now I've changed them. But let me think. I don't know.
Well, you have any spare gears?
Here's one. So say I hired a fill-in musician to come play for the band.
Yeah.
And they show up 10 minutes to 20 minutes before we start playing.
Yeah.
Especially if you're the drummer or something like that. You know what I mean?
With a lot of pieces to set up.
Yeah.
Before a show starts.
Or especially if it's a new venue we've never played before.
Oh, yeah.
That's crucial. I'm just joking around about the other thing because I got a lot of guys that do that already.
Yeah.
But they're good. We start on time.
Yeah.
But like if it's a new venue, I think everyone should be on time, like an hour maybe, depending, because you don't know where to park. If it's a busy spot.
Yeah, you never know what the situation might be inside, and it helps to get there a little earlier and to talk to people and to get to know the staff and to be amicable, and like if you're pressed for time and then you show up and you need to get information and do all this stuff, it's hard to have a good dialogue with anyone from that state.
Right.
They're just like yeah. So I agree with that a lot. Like I think it's something like a lot of musicians can take for granted, especially when like we kind of pick and choose gigs that we do. It's like coming in hot to a gig is never the best, and most, and then people notice like now that I run sound predominantly, I've seen staff members and managers ask, "Where's the band? Like, where are they?"
It's like 10 minutes before the show or something.
Well, even 30 minutes before a show or 45 minutes before a show.
True.
So a lot of venues expect the band to be there at a certain time.
Yeah.
And they might not say anything to you explicitly, but they know and they're thinking it.
They're probably worried because they've had no shows too. If they
gotta decide what to do. Like like a space like where I work at the food shack. The Max's lineup side. We're clearing tables out.
Right.
So if we're not going to have music, we could have had these tables already seated and made money off these tables.
Exactly.
And that's several $100s even to some places that are accommodating for bands.
And that matters it's a restaurant business. It really matters.
It does matter because it's the reason why they're able to book bands in the first place. That's the reason why you get paid.
Right.
So as musicians, you got to respect that and respect other people's time and what they're putting into you. If you're getting a decent wage to do your job, you just show up. Show up and do it properly. It's a simple thing. Like
especially the places that have full sound already. Like that's a blessing. Like I wish every gig was like that, but that's the opposite of my pet peeve. The opposite of my pet peeve
everything's
is
taken care of.
A venue where that has a sound engineer with a full audio.
I mean, when I do sound, I was a musician for over 10 years before I started doing it.
Right.
So I knew like what really pissed me off about live sound, but then I also started quickly learning like what realities like people that run live sound have to face in terms of making a show sound good.
Right.
And quelling that with whatever expectations I thought of as a musician.
Right.
I realized there's a few things where I was like, this is actually what I was asking for from a sound engineer is actually harder to ask than I realized because I didn't understand what went into, preventing feedback from happening in a monitor or making your voice sound good, with respect to how it sounds in the mains, and how many channels are like, especially if there's multiple bands, like be extremely kind to people that have to deal with multiple like bands and changeovers because they're trying to do a lot in a small amount of time, and it's actually not really fair that that's the amount of time that they have to work with to make a band sound good.
It's hard, like unless you're backlining everything,
and even then, it's multiple singers and new instruments, like everything sounds different. Like that's kind of what it comes down to. What has been the best thing that's impacted like your musical growth? What's something, or it can even just be like a device or a piece of gear or equipment that really just like took things to the next level and just made your life a lot easier. Even a mindset or something, book, anything.
Man, I don't have a deep answer for this off the top of my head.
It's okay. It doesn't have to be deep.
Yeah, so
be practical and efficient.
I mean, honestly, practical and efficient is the ultimate guitar app for the cover band side of things.
Okay.
Like being able to like pull up the chords on any song in the world and produce it if I want to, like for my solo acts, you know. And
oh, really?
Yeah.
What's this app called again?
It's Ultimate Guitar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ultimate Guitar. It's so like you just type in the song you want, it pulls it up, it gives you the exact chords, or you can press simplify and it simplifies it to like you know, major and minor scales.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's really nifty. That's the practical thing. Another thing, I guess, that should be more deep about it would be, I don't know. I think that just the figuring out how to find indie music and like Sugar Shack Sessions, huge inspiration, and like watching that like really inspires me and keeps me up to date, like where the sound's going in the whole like, you know, realm of things. You don't want to copy it, but you want to be on page with like, you know, certain like levels of things. Like people have been using plugins and different effects on keyboards, for example, in recordings. Some are a little outdated now. So they got, you know, they got the new plugins and stuff, and you just need to be aware of how the industry's going so that you're on the cutting edge and you're not being left behind, you know?
Yeah, that's important, and you know, it can get expensive, so
yeah. I mean, I got an all-in-one guitar pedal. You've seen it? Yeah, and I like that thing. I honestly, I use that thing all the time, but I do prefer analog.
Really?
Yeah, it just sounds, you know, way more real, you know. So the digital thing does take a little bit of life out of it, but at the same time, like if you don't want to carry an amp and pedals to gigs,
especially if you're gigging a lot, and you know, especially if some of the old, like the heavier stuff is actually really nice and expensive, it's like maybe don't take that out to the gigs.
Right, exactly.
And just buy something leaner and meaner and you know, more efficient, save you some time and wear and tear on, you know, the important stuff.
Right, exactly.
Sweet. Well, dude, thanks for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it. But like, before we close out, what's like one like last piece of like advice, like you if you can tell one thing to like aspiring musicians, like what would that be?
So I would suggest, I mean, in life and in music, to surround yourself with good people. As long as you have good people around you, you'll be surrounded by good things. Don't take negativity to heart, and you know, stay away from the baddies.
So you know, the crowd and the people that you surround yourself with are pretty important to your own overall growth.
Absolutely. And you know what makes a good person is somebody that's working on being good. Somebody, you know, some people are natural, but you know, some people are purposely bad. You know what I mean? So
so you know, I mean, it's hard. Sometimes I feel like we think one way is the only way, but you know, a lot of times we just need to not do something long enough to realize like there's all sorts of opportunities out there in front of us. We just weren't seeing things in the right light.
Right. Don't get in the way of yourself. Is that what they say?
Yeah. Oh boy. It's storming out there for
typical.
Sure.
We're in the middle of a hurricane now.
Yeah, you can really hear it inside this warehouse. But it's okay. We got these little covers on our microphone, so we should hear our voices just fine. Yeah. So what's the next exciting thing that you got before we wrap up?
So I just, you know, I want to retouch on, we're doing the Son of Sound Clash and Bazaar 2 here at Northwood Art and Music Warehouse in West Palm Beach. That's going to be from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. There's going to be 13 bands, food trucks, artisan vendors, some really cool stuff, celebrity artists like painting and stuff like that. Yeah. Mermaids. Besides that, we're going to get a little weird.
All sorts of stuff.
I'm going to get a little petting zoo.
Oh, wow.
We're going to be able to throw hatches.
I actually really liked that. The animal demonstration at the last event was really cool. Yeah. Like seeing the owls and crocodiles and stuff like that. And having
Treasure Coast Wildlife Center was the charity that we were, well, not the charity, the organization that we were sort of trying to make funds for. Yeah. So, you know, we did a raffle, and, you know, we gave them a substantial amount from that raffle.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, it was more than the show made. So,
Wow, well, then, hey, that's a good thing. I mean, like, so, I mean, there's another reason to go is just you're supporting good causes, local causes. Yeah. with this event, and that's awesome.
Yeah,
like
so-
that's great.
So this one though is actually going to be for the Soup Kitchen in Boynton Beach.
Oh, okay.
So if you bring 5 canned goods to the door, you get 25% off your ticket price.
Oh, wow.
Or you could just bring canned goods, to contribute. You know
Oh,
what I
wow.
mean?
Yeah, just act good faith, and just that's great, man. I'm glad you're using these events as a way to help other aspects of our community.
Gets
It's really
back a little
important.
bit, for sure.
Great. And what date is this on?
March 3rd, 2024.
Okay. And where can people, if they want to know more about this event, can they go look it up?
You can look it up on, Facebook events. You can find Sun Up Sound Clash and Bazaar 2, or you can I think it comes up with Google, Sun Up Sound Clash and Bazaar 2. Tickets are $20 at the door and $15 in advance. But once again, you bring some canned goods and you get a little discount at the door.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for letting us know about that. And if people want to find out more about the Holidazed, or you in particular, where can they reach you?
www.theholidazed, spelled HOLIDAZED.band.
Awesome. And that's where they can find out more about all things Holidazed. You got some shirts and some tanks available too.
We got shirts, tanks, hats, stickers. I'm about to get a new merch batch that is going to be killer. I really like the way it's looking right now. I can't remember the artist's name right now, which is kind of weird. Maybe I'm having a brain fart, but I would love to shout out to that guy, and he knows who he is, and he's going to see this and be mad at me. So.
Okay, we'll splice it in later if there's enough time.
All right, cool.
All right. Well, Nick, dude, on behalf of the listeners and South Florida music community and myself, I really greatly appreciate all the work that you've done locally with these events more recently, and just constantly putting out music and just keeping it going and kind of being an example of what it really means to really just pay your dues and to really look within yourself and then really go through like hard work to kind of get on the other side of this and make awesome music happen, awesome events happen for the people, and find more ways to connect with others. I think that's like really admirable, and one of the it makes you one of my favorite people very quickly in the music scene. So
thank you, bro. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
thank
man.
you.
So hopefully we'll get you on again soon, and within another year or so, and see what you're up to. Asking more questions and maybe start getting into the finer details of the music that you got going on.
Yeah, and
more events.
By then, maybe my lazy eye will fix itself, and I won't be wearing sunglasses.
I don't think you have a lazy eye.
I'm just kidding.
There's only one way to find out.
Yeah, you got to come to the show. Yeah, yeah, perfect.
$25, he'll take his glasses off.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, hey, man, have a good one.
You too, bro. Thank you.
See ya.